What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Drive for Show, DFS for Dough here on RotoGrinders. If you are tuning in live, sorry for the one-day delay this week. Obviously, usual taping time is Tuesday evenings, which did not work very well with having kids and trick-or-treat and all that stuff. So we pushed back to Wednesday this week, but still going to provide you with our usual content for the golf tournament this week. There are some pretty big contests out there in DFS, particularly on DraftKings this week. So wanted to make sure that we still did a show for you. So here we are, better late than never, and the Drive for Show DFS for Dough program. I am Justin Van Zuiden, STL Cardinals 84. We've got Mr. Notorious, Derek Farnsworth alongside as usual. Noto, hope you had a good Halloween, and how you doing?
Yeah, doing good. We're at the time of the year where I'm either doing content or have a sweat or asleep. Like that's pretty much all that I have going on right now. So it's good though. Halloween was fun. Little man was a Ninja Turtle. How about your kids?
Yeah, so our oldest is probably his final year going around the neighborhood, but so he's 13. So we had football pads and knee pads and all that stuff, and he has a Lamar Jackson jersey. So he was Lamar Jackson for Halloween. And our youngest, who's 10, throughout the years, he's never been like a traditional Halloween costume. So he's been like a hot dog, he's been a bottle of Pringles, a thing of ketchup, and he's been a pencil, and so he always finds something unique, and he usually gets pretty good compliments on it. So this year he was a tube of toothpaste. So I was going around the neighborhood with Lamar and a tube of toothpaste, and we got snow here yesterday, and it was like 30-mile-an-hour winds, and the wind chill was like 10. So it was not glorious wandering about with the little ones, but it's okay. It's fun, and you're only out for about 45 minutes, and then it's done. But yeah, they had a good time.
Do you guys make those creative costumes? The tube of toothpaste?
No. Oh no, they're okay. Amazon made
those?
them. Yeah.
Okay. Find anything.
Yeah, no, it's we've got a whole bunch of. There's probably a few others that I'm forgetting along the way, but the youngest, has always found something funny and creative, and yeah, so we'll see. He's got a couple more years left to try to pick something out, but. As for the golf, it's been a couple weeks since we've been on the air. We had a week break after the Zozo Championship a couple weeks ago, and a couple weeks ago, especially in this time of year on the sports calendar, you just don't really remember what happened. But it was Colin Morikawa coming away with a pretty easy victory, breezed through it on the final day, beating Bo Hostler and Eric Cole, who both continue to have pretty strong showings here throughout the fall swing. But Morikawa with a 6-shot win was pretty much a must to have on winning lineups. Since it was a couple weeks ago, we probably don't need to spend a whole lot of time recapping it, but anything else that crossed your way the past couple of weeks that we need to pass along?
Not really. As far as the Zozo, my main lineup was pretty much dead after day one. I thought, hey, maybe since I'm not cashing, it can move up. And it just kept getting worse every single day, but did have an outright on Morikawa, so at least had something to sweat on Sunday. Other than that, not much. Looking forward to the next few weeks, and then we get a nice little break coming up.
Yeah, so we got tournaments this week and then the 2 following weeks, and then we'll have about 5 or 6 weeks off before the start of a new year in 2024, where we'll have some new faces on the PGA Tour. That usually happens around the fall swing here, but with the change in the calendar and the season officially starting in January as opposed to here in the fall swing, we won't see a lot of those new faces until the new year. So 3 more weeks until we get that little winter break. So we'll try to make them count. And we've got tournaments that we're pretty well familiar with here over the next few weeks. The Worldwide Technology Championship this week. It's changed names a few times. But it is also changing courses this year, and I'm sure Noto is super excited because he gets to talk about Tiger Woods with this course being one that was a Tiger Woods design. So really interesting to see how the new setup, new course plays on the PGA Tour. And what have you uncovered so far about what we got this week?
Yeah, one of the more unique courses that we'll see on the PGA Tour. It's going to be El Cardinal in Los Cabos, one of my favorite destination spots for for a vacation. But yeah, par 72, 7,452 yards. It is at sea level, but I don't think it's going to play nearly as long as it looks on the scorecard. A lot of elevation changes and undulations on the fairway. So I do think we're going to see, similar to Kapalua, just a lot of drives that just roll out a bunch. And it sounds like it's playing pretty firm and fast. The big story, I mean, there's no rough on the course. The fairways are 60 yards wide. The greens are massive, 8,300 square feet on average. So, yeah, I think it's going to be pretty easy. It's a resort course. Typically, when the PGA Tour has a new course in the rotation, they kind of set it up a little bit easier the first time around, just because they don't want to scare people away from coming back.
They don't want 75 Terrell Hattons going around afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think it's going to be easy. I do think, with the wide fairways, it certainly doesn't hurt the Bombers at all, but I don't think it's going to play as long as it does look on the scorecard. And I don't think around the green is going to be in play all that much. If you're missing these greens, it's probably going to be trouble anyway. And, again, no rough. Greens are massive, should be pretty easy. So I'm kind of looking for guys that are good off the tee, good on approach, and can make a lot of birdies and putts.
All right. Yeah, I think I am fine prioritizing the scorers, the Bombers this week. It is a somewhat weak field event, so not quite as weak as what you see maybe in some of these fall swing events, but not the strongest either. So, we'll kind of break it down here. Probably won't take us too long to get through it because the options at the bottom are still quite uncomfortable once you get down to that lower end range. So it's going to be a fairly narrow player pool for me this week. No surprise. But we do have some quality at the top, at least guys that have been playing pretty well with the DFS favorite Jaeger. Of course, you may remember heading into the FedEx Cup playoffs, Lucas Glover figured out the putter. So he's up there amongst the top guys. We've got 5 above 10K this week. Glover and Jaeger are at the bottom of that. And then Theegala, Cameron Young, and Aubert, the top 3 on the board at 10-7, 10-9, and 11-2 on DraftKings. So I guess the question becomes, do you have to prioritize somebody up here? Is there enough value to where you want to get one of the top guys in? And if so, who are a couple of your favorites?
Yeah, I definitely think I'm going to prioritize somebody up here because I don't love the 9Ks all that much. And the balanced lineup of a bunch of 8K guys, just doesn't seem like you're getting much win equity there. So I do like prioritizing one of the 3 in Aubert, Cam Young, and Steven Jaeger. I think they deserve to be 1, 2, 3 in this field. Nothing against Theegala, but yeah, I just don't know how he's going to be playing after coming off of his first win. He did finish T19 at the Zozo, but we don't have any stats from that tournament. And then you have Glover, who I refuse to pay 10K for Glover. If it burns me, so be it. But yeah, I like Jaeger quite a bit. He hasn't missed a cut since April. He's been top 20 machine all season. He's one of the only guys in the field that's top 10 in birdie or better, green regulation, and bogey avoidance. So going to think that if the putter heats up, I like his chances. And then obviously you have Aubert and Young, Bombers, great iron players, guys that might run away with this thing. So if I'm starting with one, probably going to be Jaeger, but it does scare me not playing the other 2.
Yeah, Theegala is definitely a guy I'll be underweight on this week as well. I'm a little higher on Glover. Just, if he's figured out the putting, that was obviously the only thing holding him back. So I don't mind him, at 10% ownership. I'll probably keep Glover in my player pool, but definitely like prioritizing Aubert and Jaeger a little bit more. Given, the form that Jaeger has been rock solid dating back to the summer. You just got, and you get a little bit of a discount from him too, compared to the other guys up there. So, even though it would have felt weird 6 months ago to see Jaeger at that 10.2K, he has definitely earned that price bump and is one of the better options up there at the top this week. And in theory, Cam Young, right? This could be a course where if he's just going to bomb it out there, if he can put some close and make some birdies, you should think that he would fare well also. So depending on how you think the course is going to play, obviously it's a little bit of guesswork here, given the fact that we've never seen this course on the PGA Tour. So if you want to prioritize different statistical metrics, by all means, there's a little bit more room for interpretation without the data from past years this week. So all right. Go ahead.
One other note, I just checked the wind, and it's basically non-existent for all 4 days.
Which is kind of rare, it seems, for that area.
Yeah, and Sobel had Taylor Montgomery on his pod, and he was asking about the course, and he was saying it's a very easy course unless the wind picks up. So, yeah, we're going to see some low scores this week.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how deep into the minus territory the winning score gets. I've probably underestimated that in our survey. I might have to go back and change my answer on that, as I was the first one to do it and didn't really have a gauge at the time. I think I put 18, but I think it's definitely going to get lower than that. All right, let's go to the 9K range. I mean, we've talked at length on this show about how good Eric Cole has been ever since the summer, but there was one random tournament. I can't remember which one it was, but there was one random tournament that Noto just suddenly hopped on the Bo Hostler bandwagon. And this was a few months ago. And I gave him a little bit of grief for it and said, we never play Hostler. We always talk about how he's overowned. And basically ever since that point, Hostler has turned into a very good golfer. You head back into July, 6th at the Barracuda, 13th at the 3M, 20th at the FedEx St. Jude, 7th at the Shriners, and was in the second there at the Zozo. So, I mean, what's up with this guy? Obviously, you saw something in him a few months ago to hop aboard, and are we sticking with Hostler this week?
I did bet him outright, so I don't mind using him in DFS. Also, for me, he's always been a great putter, and something's clicked with the ball striking. He's gained at least 1 stroke on approach in 4 of his last 7 and probably 5 of the last 7, but we don't have data from the Zozo. But I imagine finishing second, he probably had a good ball striking week. Very good off the tee, bomber, great putter. So it's all clicking right now. He was a pretty big name coming out of college, and we've seen him contend a number of times now. So maybe since he's been in the mix a couple Sundays, maybe he can finally get it done.
All right. Don't mind the win call there. I certainly think there's some upside. Probably won't have as much of them in DFS this week, but that does worry me a little bit. We've got a pretty healthy amount of players here in the 9K range. You mentioned a little bit earlier that you don't necessarily love it, but are there a couple that maybe you like better than the others out of this big group?
Yeah, I'm going to play a lot of Adam Svensson. He's been very consistent, playing great golf. He doesn't really have a weakness. He's not a bomber, but he does gain strokes off the tee. Really good with his irons. Pretty good putter, too. So he's probably my favorite. Spawn's been very consistent. Dietrich, one of the best in the field on Paspalum courses. So if you want to play that angle, I certainly don't mind it. That's pretty much it for me. I can't play a chalky Luke List again. Batia has also been very good on Paspalum courses, but tempted to fade him coming off of a win as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on not loving this range a whole lot. I think Svensson is by far my favorite as well. We're not seeing a bunch of differential in ownership here. I mean, lots of guys that we have projected around that 10 or say 9 to 15% ownership range. So you can just play who you like best in here, I think, without worrying about ownership. Svensson would be my favorite. I think Spawn is interesting. I mean, a guy that I've never really been able to figure out kind of who he is as far as a baseline. He's been up and down throughout his career, but has developed a little bit more consistency here over the past year. So maybe he'll springboard that into a strong 2024 season. Looks like Honda's has Kirk tagged, and Kirk is one of the lowest owned that we have in this range. I think Kirk is interesting in that I think if everyone starts to kind of pile up the bomber narrative this week, and it's no surprise. I think that he's one of the lower owned guys in this range. I think he could be interesting in GPPs if you're of the opinion that people are taking maybe the bomber angle a little bit too far. Given the ownership, I do like him in GPPs a little bit better than Luke List. So we've seen enough of Luke List to know that he is who he is, and the putter is definitely going to crash to earth again sooner rather than later. So anything else? I think in the 9K range, it's probably going to be minimal exposure for me as well, with Svensson and Spawn kind of being my favorites.
Yeah, don't mind the Kirk call. Very good long iron player. So even if he's not getting it out there the same as some of the bombers, I do think he can make it up with the iron. So I like that play.
All right. As we move into the 8K range here, we've got Justin Suh, Keith Mitchell, and Matt Kuchar leading off this group. You couldn't probably ask for three different types of players to be set right there together. Mark Hubbard at 8,500. So only four golfers in between 85 and 8,900, which is a little bit unique this week. There aren't as many 8K golfers as what I would have expected. So let's just talk about these four: Suh, Mitchell, Kuchar, and Hubbard. We've got all of them between like 4 and 9% ownership. So any good tournament options here?
Yeah, I love Mark Hubbard. I've been playing him for like 6 months now. Very good iron player, and recently he's found something off the tee. Talked about it a little bit before the Zozo. I think he gained 8.1 strokes off the tee in his previous 3 starts. We don't have numbers from the Zozo, but hopefully he can keep the driver going. Everything else is pretty good. I like the ownership there with Hubbard. And then, I don't know, Mitchell, it's a good course fit for him, but I just
I thought that a few weeks ago, and then he burned me.
He just nothing's been good, you know. It's hard to trust him at the moment. And Justin said we don't know if his T10 at the Zozo was all putting or if it was decent ball striking. So for me, it's probably just Hubbard of those 4.
Yeah, I'm tempted with the course fit for Mitchell, and I'm kind of a sucker for playing him, so I'm sure I'll be tempted into keeping him in my player pool, but it's probably not advocated for the smart person. It's just me being a guy that likes Keith Mitchell, and certainly he can't be worse than he was a few weeks back when I played him. So, but that's not recommended, I don't think. I've seen a little bit of love out there for Kuchar. I am probably not going there either this week, but yeah, I don't love a whole lot in this group. I think Hubbard is fine, but I think you can completely fade this group if you want to. Really, the 8Ks as a whole. I think you can live in the maybe the upper 9 to 10K range, and then go all the way down in the 7Ks and kind of build some semi-stars and scrubs lineups this week, because it's not like the bottom half of the 8K range is that great either. You've got Herbert, Davis Thompson, Chris Gotterup, Putnam, and Taylor Pendrith are your only other golfers above 8K. I have boarded the Davis Thompson train the past month or so he's probably my favorite in here. But anybody you like at the lower end of this range?
Yeah, I like the Davis Thompson call. Long off the tee. Pretty good stats. Just needs to kind of put it all together. I think it's a good course fit for him, assuming that the bomber narrative holds. I always play Andrew Putnam, and he kind of fits the Chris Kirk mold. If distance doesn't matter as much as we think, then he might be a really strong play. Chris Gotterup's a name we haven't seen in a while. Been playing great on the Korn Ferry Tour when he was on
I was
the PGA
surprised
Tour.
to see. I hadn't really followed him that close. I was surprised to see him priced so high.
Yeah, but he's a bomber too. So if you want to play that angle, you can definitely play Thompson and Gotterup there. And I also like Pendrith, another guy long off the tee. His results recently have been all over the place, but he does have a couple top 7s recently. So maybe he's found something. And you can probably play all 3 of those. If you want to build like lineups with similar skill sets, I don't mind using that approach this week because maybe the course will favor iron players. Maybe it'll favor the bombers. But yeah, I think building stacks of similar skill sets could have some merit.
Yeah, for sure, especially if it plays out different than what people think. But Thompson, definitely my favorite in this range. If you look at last 36 rounds, he's 15th in this field in tee to green, 19th off the tee. Better than most of what you'll find once we get down to this price range. Pendrith not too far behind in those off the tee numbers as well. So, and then you got Taylor Montgomery, who's like dead last in everything tee to green and first in short game. So, it's just his stats are just wild. And then since there weren't a whole lot of options in the 8K range, we do get quite a few more there at the top of the 7Ks, led by the aforementioned Taylor Montgomery. So I guess it probably deserves a discussion on its own. Is this a Cam Champ week for you at the top end of the 7K range?
If I like all the other bombers, it's hard to really cross him off the list. He's been playing well. He's talked about being more happy on the golf course, which maybe a better mindset is helping him be more consistent. It's certainly the most consistent he's played in a long time. So I don't mind going to Champ. I do think he's going to be pretty popular. But he's probably my favorite play in that upper 7K range. I also like Callum Tarrant, a guy that can go low any single round. He can also burn your lineups, but he's been playing some good golf recently. And then Michael Kim seems to pop for the model every week. Even if I bump up driving distance, Michael Kim's still there. So he's gained 9 strokes on approach in his last 2 starts, and doesn't look like many people are going to be playing him. So in that 75 to 8, I'll probably go Champ, Kim, and Callum Tarrant.
Yeah, I like Champ a good bit. Champ and Tarrant both had stretches during this calendar year where they missed at least 7 cuts in a row. And they've both been playing significantly better golf of late. And kind of fit the same mold where I think this course is going to reward their skill sets. So I like those guys this week, even though they tend to be streaky. I can understand if you're playing cash games and you think, okay, I want to fit in a little bit safer lineup, but really, if you're going for safe, who else are you getting for safety in here? I mean, Davis Riley is kind of all over the place. Doug Gim, you never know what he's going to bring with the putter. I suppose maybe you can make the argument that somebody like KH Lee's a little bit safer, but I really don't think that that's too much of a difference kind of in this price range. So give me the upside with guys like Champ and Tarrant, and then Noto likes Michael Kim as well. So just got to keep an eye on whether or not he's tweeting too much based on the data. His results are poorer when he tweets more.
That's what we found out, yeah.
It's the hard-hitting sleuthing, internet sleuthing on Michael Kim. All right, let's go ahead and keep moving down the 7K range here. It gets ugly in a hurry once you get down kind of under 7,000. So if you're looking for a value or a couple values to round out your lineups, you're probably going to have to get it here in this next range before you get down under 7,000. So who are a couple guys that are standing out to you?
Peter Quest seems like a perfect play for this course, a bomber and a putter. If he has a good iron week, I think he could be in contention, and he's only 7,300. I like Brandon Wu. He's played really well on past Palm courses, the best in the field on a per round basis. And then a guy that I wasn't really planning on playing is Erik van Rooyen. He's been really solid. He's got 5 straight top 30s. And if you look at his recent stats, he gained 9.4 ball striking, 6.9, and 4.9 in his last 3. And I talked about around the green, hopefully not being important. He's lost strokes around the green in 18 straight events. But hopefully that's not a problem this week with the big greens, with the no wind. So yeah, I really like EVR, even though I'm gonna have to go through and re-rank my rankings because I think I'm putting him in my main lineup.
All right, 18 straight events. That's a pretty good sample there. It's almost a season. That's wild.
You would think it would hit the flag and chip in eventually.
You gotta have one go around that goes well, but alas, the stats don't lie. So, but the overall results, I agree, have been pretty good. I'm with you on Quest as well. We're pretty much in agreement on this range. Quest is a guy that over the last couple months I've been playing kind of throughout the fall swing. He has tended to perform better on the courses where scoring is easier. We know he can hit the ball a long way. So he's a guy that I think the course setup is pretty solid for this week as well. I think Eckroat is fine. He's another guy that quite a few people have been playing here throughout the fall. Not getting as much ownership this week as we have seen. I don't mind, again, if you're confident that he's fixed the putting issues, Troy Merritt could be a guy you could consider at 7,200 as well. Just sprinkling in guys to round out your lineups here simply because once you get below 7K, it gets pretty tight. So before we wrap up the show here tonight, we'll go through if we got any other values as well. And obviously this was a pretty quick show, but we're getting this out fairly late. So presume a lot of you want to consume this as quickly as possible as you build your lineups. But I want to touch on our new tool, SimLabs. We just dropped the beta version of the SimLabs tool for NFL lineup building. And for a limited time, you can try it for free. SimLabs is a brand new product that generates DFS lineups through the power of simulation, combines data from every aspect of the slate to churn out lineups that match your preferences. And in just a few clicks, you can have hundreds of well-built correlated lineups ready to go for whatever contest type you are playing. You can check the link in the description for more information. Have you messed around with that yet, Noto, with the SimLab stuff for NFL?
Yeah, hopped on the call. So I knew what was going on there, because if I would have gone in blind, it honestly would have been a lot easier than some of the other Sims products out there. Though I think the whole goal of this was to just make it easier than what's currently on the market. And yeah, it's pretty cool. You can put in players that you want, you can put in stacks that you want, and it'll give you lineups that are not only projecting well, but projecting well for a specific contest that you're entering. And that's kind of where DFS is heading now. So yeah, I'm excited for it. I need to incorporate it more into my process, but looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So check that out. Again, free for everybody for a limited time. So you can check that out. Click the link in the description. All right, let's go through the final range of golfers here. And again, I mentioned there's not a whole lot once you get below 7K. I mean, we've seen guys like David Lipsky, Will Gordon have flashes in the past. They're kind of right around 7K, but not a whole lot of consistency with these guys in terms of results. Kevin Streelman's had a reasonable stretch. He's 8th in approach and 12th in tee to green in this field over the last 4 months. So his, kind of overall stat line is probably a little bit more solid than most of the players you will see in this price range. The short game's been bad, but Ches Reavie has been better on approach as well. Anything interesting you here as we get down to 7,000 and below?
Yeah, like Carson Young at 67. I think he's the one guy that I might consider using in like single entry 3-max. Everyone else probably just large field stuff. Isaiah Salinda, coming off of a T7 his last time out, is a little interesting. I'm contractually obligated to mention Kevin Roy for whatever reason. He's just always a very good iron player and very bad at everything else. But he's 6,300. And then I don't know if you scrolled all the way to the bottom of the pricing, but did you see who's in the field?
Blocky
is in the field, 2,500 to 1. He's about to break the internet with the win this week, and yeah, I can't wait.
I went in the hole. It went in the hole. Rory, go in the hole.
No,
I forget who it was. I scrolled through. I saw somebody on Twitter was had a Michael Block costume for Halloween. With the whole, the hat and everything, but I can't remember who it was. So shout out to whoever was going all out to be like Mike for Halloween. We got 0.85% ownership on Blocky at 6K flat. Buyer beware, enter at your own risk. Yeah, not a whole lot else though as we get down to the bottom. I think Sobel gave a nod to Endicott at 6,600. We got him under 1% ownership. I've been on the Carson Young bandwagon here throughout the fall as well. I think he's fine if you need to go down there. I always keep a couple flyers in my player pool down here, so it'll probably be Reavie and Young, maybe Endicott in there as well. But don't be rolling out tons of exposure for these guys just because the field trails off in a hurry. So anybody else that we may have missed that you think we need to touch on here?
Don't think so. Who's your winner this week?
I mean, I think Aubert is deservedly the favorite, but I don't want to throw just okay, he's the guy, because that's boring. Let's go with Svensson or Davis Thompson. They would be the first two that at their odds I would consider betting.
Yeah, I like both those guys. Have one of them on my betting card, so hopefully it's Svensson. I'm going to go with the Bo Hostler. Let's get it done.
All right. And yeah, I think when I was scrolling through, if I sort by last 36 rounds, Svensson is the only guy in this field that is top 40 in every single strokes game metric over that span. So he's been pretty consistent. Obviously, some guys are better in some areas and worse in others. But there you go. Davis Thompson, Adam Svensson, Bo Hostler, the official betting card of the Drive for Show DFS for Dope program for the week. All right, so we'll wrap this one up, keep it a little bit short. Thanks for bearing with us and checking us out on short notice. Again, check out the SimLabs tool for NFL. be sure to hit the thumbs up button. Even if you're watching us on playback, we appreciate that very much. 2 more weeks with you before the winter break, the Bermuda Championship next week, and then the traditional RSM Classic to round out the fall swing out in Georgia. So for Noto, for Steve working hard for us behind the scenes tonight, we appreciate that very much. And thank you for watching as well. I'm Justin, and good luck with all your lineups this week, everybody. We'll see you later.